This is crazy. We got the dating app killer. I want to see this.
You probably know Vistaprint for business cards. Yeah, we print that. But did you know we also print that? And that. And that.
Killer who used Grindr to bait his victims. These are the monsters of online dating. I want to give a big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for anyone who wants to learn a new skill or take a creative side hustle to the next level. I've been using Skillshare for a few years now, and a lot of the editing techniques you see in these videos come from stuff I've learned on there. Video editing techniques create smooth edits. It's a class that showed me how to implement motion blur into videos. I've used a lot of moving graphics in my content, and I've really been screwing up this entire time by not implementing motion blur. You can see the difference it makes when I animate this chubbified photo of myself across the screen. It looks way smoother with the motion blur. In the nearly use it. Skillshare today
her perfect match, but he almost cost her life. And today, a Las Vegas woman is talking to Fox 5 about how a man she met through the popular dating website Match.com tried to kill her.
Our first story involves a 50-year-old real estate agent who used Match.com to find romantic partnership. However, her foray into online dating would prove to be disastrous after she crosses paths with one of the most psychopathic men in Las Vegas, Nevada. This story begins back in the summer of 2010 with 50-year-old Las Vegas resident and real estate agent Mary Kay Beckman. At this point in Mary Kay's life, she had just recently got over the death of a longtime partner that happened the year prior, and she felt emotionally ready to get back into the dating scene again. So after recommendations from friends, she decides to give online dating a shot and creates an account on Match.com. She sets up her account, uploads some photos, and patiently waits for a compatible match. And about 2 months later, in September, Mary Kay thought she found that match when she stumbled across the profile of 52-year-old Wade Mitchell Ridley. Wade that match when she stumbled across the profile of 52-year-old Wade Mitchell Ridley. Wade Ridley claimed to work as a professional golf caddy, and Mary Kay, being a golfer herself and finding the man physically attractive, she was drawn to the guy. And after texting back and forth with the man for several days, she found herself feeling comfortable enough to go on a date with him. On September 25th, Mary Kay and Wade met up at a local Italian restaurant, and according to Mary Kay, the date went off without a hitch. She described Wade's behavior as gentlemanly and respectful. She thought there might be some potential here, so she decided to go on more dates with the guy. The two would continue dating, going on a variety of outings throughout the following week, even going golfing together with Mary Kay, introducing Wade to her friends in the process. But just as Mary Kay found herself falling head over heels for the guy, red flags began revealing themselves. As the dates progressed and the two spent more time together, Mary Kay noted that Mr. Ridley's demeanor shifted from confident to irritable and paranoid at times. As a real estate agent, Mary Kay would receive numerous text alerts and calls from clients. This prompted irrational suspicion on behalf of Wade Ridley, as on several occasions he angrily demanded to see Mary Kay's phone,
Nah, hell nah. He bugging, G. You should have left that. My dog wilding out here. This is said, let me see your phone. That nigga insecure, boy. That nigga's wildin', bro.
accusing her of talking to other men on Match.com. And at one point, Mary Kay claims that she caught the man rifling through her purse without permission in a frantic effort to browse through her text messages. Definitely some unacceptable behavior for week 2 of casual dating. With the man's unfounded insecurities and paranoia revealing itself, Mary Kay would decide to call off their dating relationship just 10 days after it started, telling Wade Ridley that things were moving just a little bit too fast for her liking. The man wouldn't handle this rejection well. In the wake of the breakup, Wade Ridley reportedly sent a flood of angry text messages to Mary Kay, accusing her of being a terrible and selfish person. The woman attempted to rationalize with the man and explain her hesitancy in moving forward, but the more she entertained his messages, the more incensed he became. Eventually, under advice from friends, she decided to cut all communications with the man and move on with her life.
Ah, snap. You got the dude obsessed with you. I'm obsessed with you. Gone, man. I'd have cut him off straight up. What's she talking about?
But this wouldn't be the last she would see of Wade Mitchell Ridley, as unbeknownst to her, Wade Ridley had sinister plans for one final meeting.
When the police arrested him, he said, "I was not there to hurt her, I was there to kill her."
Several months later, on January 21st of 2011, Mary Kay Beckman is returning home from a dinner party. After arriving at her residence, she parks her vehicle and heads to the door of her home with keys in hand. But a rustling in the darkness stops her in her tracks. It's at this moment when Wade Mitchell Ridley emerges from the shadows wielding a steak knife. Horrified, Mary Kay begins screaming. Ridley then commences a disturbingly violent attack, charging Mary Kay and stabbing her 10 times and stomping her head in until she stops moving. Believing Mary Kay to be dead, Wade Ridley fled the scene, disappearing into the night. A neighbor who heard the screams of Mary Kay during the attack called police. After arriving to be dead, Wade stomping her head in until she stops moving. Believing Mary Kay to be dead, Wade Ridley fled the scene, disappearing into the night. A neighbor who heard the screams of Mary Kay during the attack called police. After arriving, they find Mary Kay battered and bloodied outside of her home, unconscious but still clinging to life. Mary Kay was taken to the hospital and remained in a coma for the time being.
Now, I'm looking at this picture here. You're on a breathing machine, so you're on a ventilator, you've had respiratory arrest, you have a ventriculostomy in your head.
Yes, there was such severe brain trauma that they had to go in and do the surgery to release the trauma in the blood.
Meanwhile, the apparent Match.com murderer, Wade Mitchell Ridley, is still at large. And with no witnesses to the crime and Mary Kay in a coma, she's not able to testify, and thus Wade Mitchell Ridley isn't named as a suspect for this brutal stabbing. You might think at this point that the man would probably go on the run or go into hiding, but in reality, Wade Ridley's work wasn't finished. Mary Kay was simply Wade's first victim, a completed objective on a kill list that he had created. This list was populated with romantic partners that he had vendettas against for perceived wrongdoings. One name on this list was another woman Ridley had met on Match.com, Ann Simonson. And unfortunately, this North Phoenix woman was targeted as his next victim. On the night of February 10th, Wade Ridley would enter the home of Simonson and attack her using a machete and butcher knife, killing the woman. Wade Ridley...
Word, damn. So the motherfucking... Bro, that's crazy, but he's tweaking, bro. He's tweaking. He's tweaking, bro. This nigga said, machete and killed it. Damn.
He then stole Simonson's car keys and fled the scene in the woman's own vehicle, eager to finish his kill list. However, unlike the attack on Mary Kay Beckman, Wade Ridley wouldn't get away scot-free in regard to the killing of Ann Simonson. Turns out, due to previous run-ins with Wade, Simonson had an active restraining order against the man, which immediately prompted law enforcement to name him as a person of interest in regard to the killing of Ann Simonson. Days later, on February 14th, Wade Ridley was taken into police custody being accused for incapacitation or whatever. Wade was later charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder for his respective Match.com attacks. Because Ridley's attacks took place in separate states, he was set to go to trial for these two crimes in separate court systems. The attempted murder trial in Nevada was undergone first in September of 2011, with Wade being found guilty and sentenced to serve 28 to 70 years in state prison. Wade Ridley was scheduled to go on trial for the Arizona murder of Ann Simonson in late 2012, but that homicide trial would never happen, as in May of 2012, Wade Mitchell Ridley took his own life in prison, the man never truly facing justice for his Match.com attacks. Miraculously, Mary Kay Beckman would recover from the vicious attack she endured at the hands of Wade Ridley, and she's still a practicing real estate agent to this day. An interesting footnote to this story is that in 2013, Mary Kay actually filed a civil lawsuit against Match.com requesting $10 million in damages, with Beckman and her attorneys essentially alleging that Match.com was liable for allowing a deranged individual like Wade Ridley to run roughshod on their site. But Beckman and her attorneys have struggled to find the company liable in this regard, and there's no reporting that I can find indicating any damage compensation has been issued or any settlement being reached.
I have to read a statement from Match.com. It says, quote, "What happened to Mary Kay Beckman is horrible, but this lawsuit is absurd. The many millions of people who have found love on Match.com and other online dating sites know how fulfilling it is, and while that doesn't make what happened in this case any less awful, this is about a sick, twisted individual with no prior criminal record, not an entire community of men and women looking to meet each other."
While Match is generally considered to be one of the safer dating apps out there, the case of Wade Mitchell Ridley goes to show that even the boomer dating sites can contain vicious killers.
We begin tonight with the search for a killer. A 27-year-old Auburndale father and well-known boxer in the area was found murdered in his apartment last night.
Our next story is a disturbing example showcasing what happens when malicious criminals take advantage of one's romantic desires, allegedly using the Plenty of Fish dating app to lure a man into a deadly robbery. This story begins in 2016 with 27-year-old single father Adam Hilaire. Adam was an amateur boxer and MMA fighter hailing from Auburndale, Florida. When Adam wasn't training for combat sports, he was spending time raising his 5-year-old daughter, Legea. Adam was described as a hardworking man and good father. And being a single father, one might imagine that Adam was looking for new romantic partnership. Which brings us to the summer of 2016. In August, Adam began using the Plenty of Fish dating app, seeking out would-be single women in his area that might be interested in going out on dates. And that's when he connected with 18-year-old Haley Bustos. Adam and Haley would chat for some time, and feeling a bit of chemistry, eventually the two agreed to go on a date and meet in person. On August 18th, Adam and Haley would meet up at a local bowling alley, and apparently the date went well. After spending a good deal of time at the bowling alley, Haley Bustos actually allowed Adam to take her to his home afterwards. The two would spend some time there until late in the evening when the date concluded, after which Adam dropped Haley off at an apartment she was staying at. Sometime after being dropped off, Haley reportedly texted Adam, "I had a good time and would like to see you again." It's a message that implies that Haley Bustos enjoyed her date with Adam and was possibly interested in going forward romantically. But in all reality, this was likely far from the truth. After being dropped off at the apartment, she enters where 3 associates are waiting for her return. These men were 26-year-old Andre Warner, 26-year-old Joshua Ellington, and 31-year-old Gary Gray. Once inside, Haley Bustos allegedly begins a conversation with these individuals detailing various expensive items she noticed inside of Adam Hilaire's home. Items including gaming consoles, multiple televisions, jewelry, liquor, and cash. And it's at this
You shouldn't ever show her that, bro. Come on now. You could have done a lot better.
point where all 4 individuals allegedly hatch a plot to go back to Adam's apartment and rob him for his possessions. In the early morning hours of August 19th, Haley Bustos, along with Andre Warner, Josh Ellington, and Gary Gray, get in their vehicle and head to Adam's apartment, a location that Haley Bustos was very familiar with as she was just there hours prior. Upon arrival, the crew parks their vehicle outside of Adam's apartment. Haley Bustos and Josh Ellington stay in the car to keep watch while Andre Warner and Gary Gray proceed to break into Adam's home. Once inside, Adam Hillary is detained and held at gunpoint while the house was pilfered. Fearing for his life, he pleads with the burglars, begging them not to kill him. He explained that he had a 5-year-old daughter to raise and that they could take whatever they wanted, just begging for them not to kill him. But unfortunately, these callous criminals cared none for the man's circumstance, and after robbing him blind, Andre Warner forced Adam to his knees and shot him in the back of his head execution style, killing him in cold blood. After the murderous plunder, the men hurriedly exited Adam's apartment and piled into the vehicle along with Joshua Ellington and Haley Bustos. The group fled the scene with just Adams' belongings were sold off by the group in the following days, with Haley Bustos reportedly getting a $50 cut for her involvement in the heist. But these criminals wouldn't get away with their brutal crime, as sometime later, Adams' roommate would discover his body